Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches, bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case. Just a quick one. I want to dip into a video that Haley Comet made the other day. Um, and far be it from me to heap praise on Haley Comet, but she did replay what I now think is that Lucy first emergency call to 112 or 919, as Lucy says, in Spain to report Jay missing and in trouble. Initially, I thought it wasn't that call because I thought in the documentary her call did mention Jay's phone on 1% and did mention lack of water, but maybe it didn't. One of the problems I have is that because of my location, I can't go to Candor Productions and see the documentary again. It's just not available where I am, it says. So I am a bit hazy on exactly what that documentary, Candor Productions recorded phone call of Lucy actually says. But one contributor said, no, what Haley Comet replayed, and if you go to my community post, I tell you, it's at 4 minutes and 50 seconds in Haley Comet's video where she replays Lucy's phone call. So assuming that is the same phone call, Comet is right. We need to go through and pay close attention to what is actually said in that phone call and what isn't said. This is the kicker. Because what isn't mentioned in that phone call to emergency services is anything about lack of water for Jay, anything about the phone dying, and anything about really him being lost. And these are like the key ingredients to why someone should go and rescue Jay. But in that initial phone call, it seems none of that was mentioned. None of it at all. And to me, that does change the picture significantly. Let's just read through what it says. Like I say, I recommend that you go and watch the Haley Comet video. Go to my community posts. You just click on it there. And in particular, listen at 4 minutes 50, where Haley Comet plays the recording and Lucy says, my friend, she's speaking to the operator, emergency services operator, she says, my friend has met some people and they drove him up into the mountains. I don't know why. And he's left the house. And I don't know if something happened. And I was telling him, you need to go back to your friends and tell them to drive you back down. And he said, no, I can't. I can't. And I don't know why that was. He said he feels like he's going to die up there. And then the phone cut off. So conspicuous by its absence in that emergency phone call is any mention of Jay dehydrated and needing a drink and not having water. There's no mention at all of his phone being on 1% and about to die. No mention at all of any bitten by a cactus. No mention at all of Jay actually being lost or feeling lost. The exact words that Lucy said, apparently. Jay said, I can't, regarding going back to his friend's house. I can't. That doesn't imply that he's lost. He said he feel like you're going to die up there. Again, that doesn't imply that he's lost. Tells me he feels like he's going to die in a place where he's not lost. He's just going to die. So what is it then with this added list that appears in Lucy's spiel? When she gets face to face with the camera, or rather back to the camera, she does her ITV interview, all of a sudden she's pulled up, she's kind of conjured up other factors that would indicate Jay's in a bad way. The whole doesn't have a drink, 1% battery, lost. Why didn't she mention that in the emergency phone call? And why does she choose to mention it in the interview and from that point on? And this is the key question. Well, I would say that when you think about it, my friend is doesn't have any water. My friend needs a drink. My friend is on 1% battery. He's about to lose communication. My friend is lost. He doesn't know where he is. I would say that list is a kind of mini horror list that encourages us to think that Jay was destined to die. I mean, they're all factors of, can you not see what's going to happen to this boy? How could you possibly survive in that terrain? lost, no phone, dehydrated. It's almost like a wish list of things that Lucy would want her audience to take on board so that when Jay is found dead down there, it all makes perfect sense. How could he possibly have survived anyway? As he's blundering towards the sea, dehydrated, lost, 1% battery, bitten by a cactus, you can't really imagine how the guy is going to survive. And it's the same rhetoric we get from Chris Pennington, Ira Lovelace, and all the other shysters, fraudsters, charlatans in this case. They're all pushing Jay down that ravine because the ultimate goal is to convince everyone that he could only have ended up dead down there. Yeah, he's wearing trainers and t-shirt. Oh my God, he's going to die. Yeah. Oh, the Signey team and their dogs and Chris and then Uncle Tom Cobley and all and Duncan Smith went down there, but they didn't die. But this poor guy in trainers, he's going to obviously die down there. I think this is it. This is the game. Yeah, we have Chris Pennington say he wanted to play a game with Mark Williams Thomas. This is the game. Lucy's playing the game too. She's saying, damn, in the emergency phone call that I made, I didn't mention all the factors that would explain why Jay's going to end up dead. And she corrects that. She then goes into her interviews. Yeah, dehydrated, 1% battery. Yeah, cactus bitten. He's lost, he's lost, he's lost. Oh, but he can see the sea. He's going, he thinks he's going in the right direction, kind of. But he's going to end up dead, isn't he? Because you get to the end there, and as Cipriano Martin said, you actually need your ropes and your harnesses and your winches if you're going to get up and down from the floor of the ravine up to the heights. Yeah, all of this, I believe his squad is well included. They're all pushing their audience into thinking this poor boy could only have ended up dead then. It's nonsense. I believe it's nonsense. But there it is. So yeah, shout out to Haley Comet. Painful though it is for me to say that, given the lies and fabrications that she's made up about me. But yes, she did point that out. I thought very, very well. No, I can't. I can't. Jay said. Can't what? Can't find your way back there? No, I would suggest can't go back there because, as Lucy hinted, I don't know if something happened. To me, it's a way of saying I suspect something's happened. Yeah, like those two ex-cons with their very lengthy jail sentences have done something. And I'm not hinting at um, what was it? Who was the guy that hinted at there was some sausage party going on there? Yeah, Sugar Ape had a great laugh about that one. I don't think it's the sausage party that went on in that Airbnb. Something far, far, far more grievous to Jay's life, I would guess. Um, and still, and still, and still, and again, I will agree with Haley Comet on this because she has said that this whole saga can be explained if we just understand exactly why Jay went up to that Airbnb with Ayub and Rocky. We don't know that. Even now, we're entering year 3 and we don't know why he went up there. And I would suggest that it's possible that his friends didn't really know. It is possible. I mean, it is fair enough to assume that his friends did know and they knew reasons why Jay didn't go up. Didn't went up there, but they understand reasons. Let me rephrase it. I think his friends understand the misinformation about why Jay went up there. For example, they know that it's not about a lost key. They know that it's not because Jay wanted to continue the party. I think the friends know that, but it is possible Jay's friends didn't know exactly why Jay had to go. That might be some kind of secret arrangement between Ayub, Rocky, and Jay. I don't know. I'm just saying it's a possibility. In all of this, is it possible that the friends didn't really know why Jay went up there, but Jay did, and obviously Rocky, if he went, and Ayub did? That is a possibility. So why did Jay go up there? Comet is right. If we find out exactly why Jay went up there, then we would be on the right path to finding out what happened to him after that. I can't disagree with her on that, I must say. Um, in the Lucy ITV interview, she says his last drop pin wasn't even on a road. There's a reason he's gone off road. Like, why is he not carried on the path? He's not a stupid boy. He would have stayed on the road. You know, that is interesting, isn't it? Eh? His last drop pin wasn't even on a road. There's a reason he's gone off road. Like, why is he not carried on the path? How would Lucy, when she did that ITV interview, what was that, the Thursday? Jay disappeared on the Monday. By Thursday, how would Lucy know all about that path, I wonder? Was it by Thursday that everyone knew Jay had been on that path? I don't think so. Did Brad mention Jay on a path? No. Did Brandon mention Jay on a path? No, the opposite. Brandon mentioned Jay was just surrounded by mountains. Brad mentioned something about stones, stones. Kind of the sound of Jay going off road, possibly. But Lucy's got the word path in there. Why is he not carried on the path? In Lucy's 2-minute phone call with Jay, if Lucy knows he was on a path, that means Jay must have mentioned he's on a path. To me, if Jay didn't mention a path, I don't see how Lucy on the Thursday could be aware that Jay must have been on a path. Now here we go again. How does Lucy know this? His last drop pin wasn't even on a road. There's a reason he's gone off road. Like, why is he not carried on the path? I don't know, Lucy. What path are you talking about? How do you know about this path? He's not a stupid boy. Oh, we hear that over and over again. He's not a stupid boy. Yeah, he would have stayed on the road. I agree. He would have stayed on the road. Warren agrees. He would have stayed on the road. Everyone agreed. He would have stayed on the road. Apart from those that suddenly realized, oh my God, if Jay's going to end up found dead at the bottom of a ravine, we have to give 101 reasons why he went down that way. I want to switch to a different subject that is going to seem a bit nitpicky to some, but I don't think it is. And it is Jay's supposed 11-hour walk back to Los Cristianos from the Airbnb or the Mirador or wherever. Now, statement of the obvious, it's not an 11-hour walk back to Los Cristianos and Jay's hotel if he deviates from the Apple Maps route that he was supposedly following. This is the big theory. And again, it is interesting that the guys in the accident group that keep telling us we should only go with the facts, on this occasion, they're quite willing, quite happy to go with theory. And their theory is that they're sticking with, we can only go by the facts, but let's go with the theory in this case, say Chris and Luggy, is that Jay was following an Apple Maps route that took him out of the Airbnb, wrong direction, left up the hill, going away from Santiago del Teide. But that's what Apple Maps showed. And I just want to refresh everyone's mind about this because even though Google Maps shows you go down the twisty turny road 5 kilometers or so, it's a hell of a walk back to Santiago if you're walking. Yeah, Apple Maps originally did show that you go the wrong way because the Apple Maps calculation originally was that you go uphill towards the Mirador, just past the Mirador, you turn right up a path. And this is interesting because the Apple Maps route back includes not only roads, but the paths, the footpaths. So there's a footpath that goes up. You've got to go up even more. It's uphill. Yeah. And you go kind of behind the Mirador and you go up to a footpath that follows a ridge along via a place called Tenograd Masca. It's a footpath. But the advantage is once you're on that footpath, yes, you've gone in the wrong direction. Yes, you've had to go more uphill. But once you're on that path, it's following a ridge. It's flat, more or less. And it's not following the twisty-turny road. So as you come down and descend into Santiago, it's an easier walk. Possibly a bit longer, but time-wise easier. I'm going through all this because statement of the obvious, if Apple Maps say it's an 11-hour walk back following our route, It means it's an 11-hour walk back if you stick to their route. If you deviate from their route, bang goes the 11-hour walk back. Now, we keep being told that Jay's not a stupid boy, but he does seem, according to the accident group, to make stupid mistakes over and over again. And here's another one. As Jay, with his diminished phone battery, looks at Apple Maps, say 11-hour walk if you follow this route, and Jay thinks, well, bugger that, I'm not going to go even more uphill into mountains, it makes no sense, I'll just cut down to the sea. Jay also knows at that point, once he's turned off the road and dismissed the Apple Maps route, bang goes the 11-hour walk back. It could end up being shorter, but it could end up being a lot longer. But he's not a stupid boy. Then he's going to think, well, how would it end up being shorter? Because if there is a shorter walking route back to Los Cristianos, surely Apple Maps would have told me. Why would Apple Maps, in its infinite wisdom, say the shortest route back is to go up this mountain and follow a ridge along, go into Santiago and walk along the main road, when there must be a shorter route? I just bash on down to the sea and follow some other footpath that must be there, all the way to Los Gigantes, as Chris suggested, or on to all the way to Los Cristianos. Well, Jay's not a stupid boy. So if Jay's not a stupid boy, he would think, yeah, the chances are that idea of going down to the sea isn't going to be shorter than what Apple Maps is telling me, otherwise Apple Maps would have said that. This is why I think Jay, or anyone over 6 years old, would have thought this isn't a good idea to deviate from the shortest route I've been told my device is telling me, because the chances are I'm going to end up on a route that is longer. So, as Jay, according to Chris, is blundering through this wilderness, Chris, in his video that I also posted yesterday, where he's trying to explain all this, the man that only follows facts is trying to conjecture what the hell is in Jay's mind, someone he never met. And by the way, someone that did meet Jay would be his father, Warren, and Warren said Jay would never turn off that road, Chris. So, maybe listen to someone that knows Jay before you start spouting shite on what you think you know Jay would have done, man that follows facts. But here we have Chris saying that he took 20 minutes, such was the horrendous vegetation, the bush of the terrain, to get to that first palm tree. That's what Chris said. He said, it took me 20 minutes just to go that, I don't know how far it is, it looks like it's about 100 meters or so. And it is. I can back Chris Pennington up on that. If you're going to whack through that vegetation, get cut, scratched, and mutilated, yeah, it's very, very slow going. Now, Jay's not a stupid boy, we're told. He's not a stupid boy. I would submit when Jay did exactly what Chris says he did, bashed through a mere 100 meters or so, and it took him 20 minutes, no matter what narco substance he's on, Jay's going to think, hell, if that took me 20 minutes and I've gone that far and the sea is still that far away, this 11 hours ain't looking good. In fact, I might not make it to the sea by sunfall. In fact, suddenly going back to that nice comfy road and that little Mirador cafe that surely will be open by now, and then getting on that bus, I don't have any money, but I mean, someone nice on the bus, some good Samaritan, maybe Chris Pennington will be on the bus. Someone, very giving and generous and heartfelt might just lend me the €2 for the bus fare. That suddenly seems like a really good idea. Because Jay's not stupid, like I say. He's followed Chris Pennington's idea of getting to that palm tree and that hut. And it took him 20 minutes to go 100 meters. Mentally, he's calculating, I'm not going to make it. Sunfall before I get anywhere near the sea at this rate. Jay's not a stupid boy, so he knows the 11-hour walk thing only applies if he followed the original route. Once he's off that, all bets are off. He's not a stupid boy. He knows that. So why is it the people that keep saying he's not a stupid boy insist that everything he decided to do that day was the stupidest decision anyone could make? It's just the most ridiculous contradiction, as far as I see it. Okay, I think I will leave that one there because the other things related to it are a bit off on a tangent. So, yes, why is it that Lucy initial call to emergency services did not go through this shopping list of disastrous scenarios which will end up killing Jay? Is it that later she was told or she realized this isn't good enough? I have to dramatize the danger Jay was in order to justify to my audience why he's going to end up dead at the bottom of the ravine. Is that what's going on here? Is that what's going on with Chris Pennington? And all of those that said, yeah, that last message, that last snap, listen, I'm not going to make it, that must be genuine. Again, where was that sent from? Chris Pennington is 100% on board with Jay's phone died 100 meters or so off that road. So again, the unanswered question, Kaz. The unanswered question, Lord Lugworm. The unanswered question, Chris Pennington. If you're convinced that last snap is genuine, just tell us where, possibly, that could have been sent from. The guy's got a dead phone between, I would say, 20 meters and 100 meters off that road. Why did he send the message saying, I'm not going to make it? 100 meters from the road he just left? Make this make sense, please, someone. Kaz, we're waiting for your answer. You're very, very good, Kaz, at telling us that we're the bad guys here, but all we want is a sensible answer from you. If you give us a sensible answer, we can somehow work this out. But every time, Kaz, you deflect and you distract and you refuse to answer the simple questions, the more you reinforce in our community that you are covering something up. It's that simple. Tell us the truth, give us the simple answers, and we'll start to see your side of things, maybe. Give us a chance. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you next time.